It's a great day. By the time you watch this, President-elect Biden has probably been already sworn into office. Friends, welcome to Green Card Guys TV. I'm your host, John Ting. I've got 10 things I need to share with you that's on Biden's list of what he wants to do in the first 100 days related to immigration. Now, number one, you may have heard this already, but he wants to help legalize the at least 11 million people who are undocumented in America. For conservatives out there, you might wonder why he's trying to do this. The last major immigration bill that was passed was 1986. So by now, over 30 years, 34 years, there's 11 million people here in America undocumented, and we need to help them get status. It really makes sense. And we can explain that in a different video. Here on this channel, we've had questions about if people who are asylum seekers, if they will be included, because everyone knows there's a long wait time for the asylum process anyway. We hope that you will be. There is no concrete answer right now. However, there has been reports that you have to show that you've been here in the United States living since on the day of January 1st, 2021. So that would be great. That would be surprising to be honest, but it could be extended back. Like I mentioned in a previous video, that you need to start getting ready and get at least 10 years worth of evidence that you've been living here in the US, and you should not wait on that. You should go ahead and get started. But I anticipate that conservatives, Republicans will push back on that date so that it can provide a cutoff date so that anyone that's coming from, Central American countries, for example, what they call the caravans, the Congress will want to provide some cutoff date so that not everyone that's currently outside the US will be able to qualify. So we want to make sure that you qualify, right? We'll provide more information about that as soon as we get it. And number two, I'm going to show you here on the screen, Biden website. Okay, so you can see here, the first thing is giving a roadmap to citizenship. Now, it's not going to be straight to citizenship. There will be a process where you get possibly a temporary resident status, or something called possibly a registered provisional status. That's what Congress discussed back in 2013. And that would be for 5 years. Then you have to obtain a resident status, an actual permanent resident status. And after that, at least for 5 years, then you can apply to become a citizen. That US calls naturalization. Here they have a statistic here that IRS collected $23.6 billion from 4.4 million workers who did not have a social security number. So for example, if you are here undocumented, you can apply for an individual tax ID number. You don't have to show any status for that. And so that individual I-10 number will allow you to file your taxes. So I recommend getting that for this tax season. And by the way, if you are married, I strongly suggest that you mark that you are married. I've heard there's some people say they're married, but then they mark single for some reason. So you want to tell the truth. You want to tell the truth about any information on government documentation. Okay, so I want to scroll down here to the next item. So when President-elect Biden had mentioned that he wants to provide status to those who are in the US on January 1st, 2021, that infers to people that you don't have to show any other requirement. But there will be a requirement for good moral character. So one way of proving that is by filing your taxes. It doesn't say anything so far about more specific requirements, such as having for example, a spouse or other family member to qualify as like a sponsor. It does not mention anything about needing a sponsor. So I know some people are calling this an amnesty, but I would be very careful of calling it that. I do know that there will be more requirements in the future. Just knowing how Congress works and elected officials, politicians, the conservatives will require some kind of additional requirement, in addition to, of course, making sure that you as an applicant don't have any criminal history. That's a possible one. So yes, it is possible that people, we've had questions from our viewers that you may have overstayed your F1 status or your visitor visa status. and you're still living in the US, and so you're concerned about if you qualify. So far, based on what they say, most people would qualify. But again, I have a feeling that the conservative Republican elected officials would push back. And the reason why this is important is because to avoid the filibuster, which is the process to debate, it's basically a tactic by the US Senate to prevent a measure from being brought forth to a vote. It's just their way of obstruction to stop it from happening. So there's the most common way to block or delay a vote on a bill. And what happens with that, if there's a filibuster, meaning that there's not at least 60 senators agreeing to this, then it will extend the debate. So, for example, if they want to debate and they want to block the vote or delay the vote, it's not like they could just continue the next day, go to sleep, 8 p.m. or whatever, close the session 8 p.m. and then start again. It has to be straight through. Literally, if they want to block it, delay it for 24 hours, they need to be literally debating on the Senate floor for 24 hours. It's just annoying to deal with, but we've seen things happen like that before. But here's why. Here's an article from the AP News that was today, and even the new majority leader will be, Senator Chuck Schumer from New York. He stated that the priorities of the Senate are number one, the Trump's impeachment trial, confirmation of Biden's cabinet nominees, and more COVID-19 relief will be the chamber's top initial priorities. And immigration bill is not one of them. So I can understand that we definitely need new leadership in office as soon as possible. But I really believe they will be working on the immigration bill behind the scenes, at least until all this is completed. I just hope that COVID-19 bill will not take longer than at least this past year in 2020. In terms of the impeachment trial, I really don't think that should happen right now. I think they should focus on Biden's priorities first and then delay Trump's impeachment trial. Delay it as long as possible because it doesn't benefit America right now to do that. In fact, as much as I want Trump to not be able to run for office again in the future, I don't think the Republican Party will allow him to do that. Strategic wise, he'll be only good for one term anyway. They would want someone new that could go for 2 terms straight. If convicting him through an impeachment trial means that he won't have the benefit of Secret Service in the future or if it's his family, then I'm all for it. But I still think that should be delayed so that we can put the interest of Americans and the immigrants first. But I'm also concerned about any potential delays like the filibuster because of what some of these, even Democratic senators said. Senator Robert Menendez from New Jersey said that moving an immigration reform bill won't be easy, but he thinks it's possible. He's relating to his 2013 was, of course, the last time Senate really discussed immigration reform bill. He and Senator Rubio from Florida were part of that bipartisan, quote unquote, gang of 8 that got just preliminary Senate approval, but not the full Senate. This is also here where it says under Biden's legislation, this is the only place I've seen it, that those living in the U.S. as of January 1st, 2021 without legal status, so that could mean overstay the visa or you entered without a visa at all, would have a 5-year path to temporary legal status or a green card if you pass background checks, pay taxes, and fulfill other requirements. So it's still pretty bare bones framework. And from there, it will provide a 3-year path to naturalization if you want to become a citizen. I do encourage people to become a citizen so that you do have the opportunity to vote. I believe that's an important civic duty that thankfully 7 million more people voted for Biden this time. But yeah, there's some quotes here from others. For example, Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton, who apparently wants to run for president in the future. He says, quote, total amnesty, no regard for health and security of Americans, and zero enforcement is, he's not for that. To give you an idea, in the past, any immigration reform bill proposal included some kind of security measures. It really shouldn't include any this time because President Trump has already put up miles of border wall. Even Republican senators acknowledge that putting a wall along the entire border is not feasible physically and also financially. One other senator here, Marco Rubio from Florida, said, there are many issues I think we can work cooperatively with President-elect Biden, but a blanket amnesty for people who are here unlawfully isn't going to be one of them. And he's a pretty central player in this Senate immigration battle. So like that's why I said in my previous videos and this one as well, I don't believe there will be a blanket amnesty. I think you need to be careful of that. I don't want to get your hopes up. That's why I say you need to get your evidence for the last 10 years ready. That's my prediction that they will need you to show that you've been here and not just pay taxes, but have a good moral character and that you've been here for some time. Save the time, because when this bill passes, you'll want to have that evidence ready. You don't want to wait, because a lot of people, possibly 11 million people, will be applying. So that will definitely be a delay. So it could take longer. Some people think it's going to happen within the first week. That's not true. What will happen is that when today, President-elect Biden is getting sworn in around lunchtime, one of the senators, they're going to introduce this bill, at least the preliminary framework of the bill. So I don't want you, our fans watching this, to assume that this will be the final bill. This is only very, very preliminary. It will go through debate back and forth. I suspect it will take at least a month. If it's done in 1 month, I'll be very surprised, to be honest, but that's my hope, because usually when there is an immigration proposal, it's been a long time. There's really no immigration proposal under President Trump, because he wanted to stop people from immigrating, right? So the last major immigration bill that was considered was 2013, almost a decade ago, actually 8 years ago. As I mentioned before, the last major immigration bills for immigration benefits that were offered was in 1986. And the last immigration bill that was passed was 1996, but that created the 3 and 10-year restriction, 3-year bar for certain crimes and unlawful presence. But anyway, back to the filibuster situation. If we're able to get 60 Senate votes, then we can bypass extended debate. Right now, as you know, that we have in Georgia, the 2 senators who are voted are Democrats. So, we don't want to also assume that they will be on our side for immigration, but it appears so. But I know there are some moderate Democratic senators, so we don't want to assume that they will be on the side for this particular proposal. So it's important, if you live in a state where you believe your senator is moderate, you should write a letter advocating for this. Okay, we'll provide tips on that in the future. Even if you're not you're a person who does not have any status, but if you feel more comfortable and you have a spouse or someone that is a U.S. citizen or resident, to write a letter, and it could be done online, because it's very important that Congress knows that you care about this proposal. I know it's assumed by everyone, but they will work harder if they get letters and phone calls from you. And the reason why is because they care about your vote, or at least your future vote. Okay, so I want to scroll down more on the at least 9 other items that, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe down below, smash the like button, and leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking, if you believe you would qualify for one of the things that I mentioned earlier, and please share this video to your friends. We greatly appreciate it. Until next time, please continue wearing your mask.